past, fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful laws and pass. I back up my actions, fact, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember you're discreet now, get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kiru Show here. And now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Izuku Midoriya. And what happened in the last part briefly. Now, it has been a week since Midoriya has woken up from his coma. And it has been about 8 months since the beginning of the anime. Now, that means that there are only 2 months left for UA. And Midoriya, he's been a little bit busy. He has been talking with the past users. And they themselves are all trying to understand this reincarnation thing. However, Midoriya, yeah. The fact that he's the reanimated or reincarnated soul of the first person to possess the power he was bestowed, that's not really the last thing. That's not really the first thing on his mind. In fact, it's kind of the last. Since it's been brought to his attention by the doctors that if Midoriya doesn't get this problem with his mind solved, he might die. Now, along with that, there was what Midoriya did ask of All Might. Midoriya, he asked All Might if he can train with Gran Torino, his teacher. All Might surprised Midoriya knew that, as All Might himself, he wants to ask Midoriya a whole bunch of questions. However, Midoriya, he's explained to All Might that there are things he can't really give the answer to. And All Might, he kind of still wants at least something. Now, Midoriya, he did try to explain to All Might, at least vaguely, that for right now, he can't tell him anything. If he tells All Might anything then that might disrupt the balance of what's happening. Now, All Might, he was very confused. However, he does want to put some trust in Midoriya. He assumed that Midoriya, he would train for UA, go to, well, UA, get into the school, and eventually encounter Gran Torino naturally. However, the whole coma thing threw a wrench into the idea. So, why not? All Might take Midoriya to visit Gran Torino, as he does stand outside the building to his mentor today. And that conversation Midoriya had in the last part was about 3 days ago. As All Might does stand there in his Small Might form, telling Midoriya that this is really as far as he can go. Are you sure, All Might? Yes, this point right here. Reuniting with my old teacher is not something I wish to do right now. In fact, well, I'll leave that all to you, young Midoriya. Okay, thanks, Toshi. I'm sorry, what did you just call me? I said thanks, All Might. I could have swore you just called me... No, never mind. Now, Midoriya, he does have Nana Shimura pop up. Her telling him that was real smooth. Gee, you think? Anyways, so, I have a few questions about this guy. Go ahead. I've never heard of him before in my life. And if I am to be honest, why doesn't this guy have more popularity? His quirk allows him to fly. Well, you see, there's a few things about that. In regard to being a pro hero, yeah, he was very good at it. However, he viewed it more as a thing he can do. In fact, he kind of did it to mess with people. Mess with people? Yeah, villains and pros alike. In fact, he kind of got bumped down a few rankings because of it. He probably would have been in the top 10 if he didn't stop pranking people the way he did. So he just likes to mess with people. Yes. That's why whenever the door opens, expect a prank. If, well, I'm just gonna shoot in the dark, you open the door and he's, let's just say, dead. Just say that I'm not in the mood for you pranks. Her then saying a nickname that only she came up with. Now, Midoriya he does stare at Nana confused, as Midoriya would knock on the door. Now, a few seconds do pass, as Midoriya would knock on the door again, and then again. It's been about 10 minutes. Midoriya looking over at Nana Shimura. Her telling him to just try the knob in if he does get shocked, then expect it to open afterwards. Now, Midoriya would do this, as the scenario that played out for Midoriya's internship in canon does play out here. Midoriya opens the door, and Gran Torino is lying there in what looks to be a puddle of blood. As Midoriya he just stared down at the old man. I'm not in the mood for your jokes. Midoriya then saying that thing Nana told him to say. Gran Torino confused jumping up as he does say, how the hell did he know about that? I've already explained it to Toshinori. I'm not in the mood for it and I don't have time. Okay. You're talking about Toshi now. When did All Might tell you his name? Okay. Now, Midoriya would look to Nana, as she does tell him that he might have to explain this all to him for right now. He's probably the only guy that he could reliably look to for advice. Now, we do have a brief conversation later. Gran Torino, surprised to hear about everything else. Midoriya was in a coma, and apparently whenever he woke up, he found that he might die because of some strange thing going on with his brain. Along with that, he's able to not only make contact with the One For All users, but he's able to actually see them in real life, and he's going to be manifesting their quirks. That is a lot to process. Alright, young man. Well, for right now, how about we focus on I can't train One For All? Why not? My body somewhat physically deteriorated. Where I was previously, I was told I could use about 15 to 20% if I tried using it throughout my entire body. However, don't interrupt me. However, being in a coma for 7 months boosted me back down to at least a lower percentage. My body probably would have exploded if it wasn't for the fact that I took on the quirk in a physically good state. I see. Sort of in a way similar to All Might's tiny form, correct? Yeah, think about it like that. However, Midoriya telling Gran Torino that he's been told by the users that he might be able to at least start to use 4% if they're being generous. And 3 if he's correct. I see. However, that number does seem to be a bit too low, don't you think? I do. Anyways, that's kind of why I'm here. I was told that you can help me a lot. So, I want to start training with you. I already know about the fact that I can use the quirk in a certain way. However, there's also the fact that I'm going to be using the other users' quirks as well. And I'm sort of here to learn how to use Nana's. Now, Gran Torino, he does seem a bit more excited than he would be in canon. He feels like he's, talking to someone he sees as a son. This kid has the ability to use a flying quirk, and he's basically going to be teaching him from scratch. Now, Midoriya he talks about how Nana already took him on his first test flight, and that ended up with him going from point A to point B in less than 3 minutes. I see. But still, it's remarkable. I know. Anyways, so, do you think that you'll be able to help me? Well, kid, the fact that you're able to be so serious, along with the fact that you knew that, I guess I could take you on. And, well, yeah. Looks like this won't be as fun as I thought it would be. Of course. Now, Midoriya would say that nickname once again. Gran Torino just staring at Midoriya, and he does feel somewhat awkward. That name he hasn't heard in decades, and hearing it again, it just feels wrong. Especially since it's not his old friend saying it. Now, the two would begin training, as we will cut up to about 2 months later. Midoriya he has somewhat jumped back and forth from Gran Torino's place and his own home. Along with the fact that Midoriya did offer to take Gran Torino back to his apartment to stay for a while. Since no one's really there. Along with that, the landlord's an asshole and is basically paying, or at least charging his family since no one's even there. So it doesn't really matter how or where they go. Now, Gran Torino, he was pretty surprised by all of this. Midoriya's situation is very complex. Along with that, in this time, Midoriya, he has at least gotten the hang of not only float, but he's beginning to understand Black Whip more. The quirk was hard to control. He's had some incidences where he's flying and he loses control of the quirk. And it was emotions that were hard for him to handle. Now, this is where the other users did begin to help. Along with that, you did also have the user whose quirk was Smokescreen. Now, that quirk was actually very easy for Midoriya to handle, since it did require him to focus on what he's going to do. Along with that, understanding the basics of that one were very easy. Now, Midoriya, he has at least grown to see Gran Torino somewhat as a bit of a father figure, since he's kind of the only person he does have at the moment. Along with that, revealing to him that these pieces of information, yeah, he's the only person Midoriya can rely on right now. As we do have today. After 2 months of Midoriya's training, he believes he can finally at least begin to use One for All. Now, we do have where Midoriya and Gran Torino, they are currently at Dagobah Beach, where Midoriya and Torino were going out for a run and a fly. Now, Midoriya, he does turn on One for All. Gran Torino watching Midoriya turn it on in his arm. As he does tell the kid that he has to, before Midoriya, he does activate full cowling immediately. And Midoriya, he does actually go to pop his hands and stretch himself in a weird way. Gran Torino watching that, as he does think about that for a minute. Is this kid a prodigy? No, not even prodigies have this degree of control over quirks. Let alone this one. No, maybe he's like Toshi in that regard then. The power is the same, however, it's a bit more visible nowadays. Now, Midoriya, he does go to rush towards Gran Torino. Midoriya heading at about, let's just say, let's see. I want to say Midoriya would be at 8%, but that's him in canon compared to 10 months of training. However, Midoriya, he's able to get up and move around more, meaning that his muscles would just begin to grow and actually get a lot stronger just from him moving around, since he hasn't used them in a long time. Along with actually working out more, I want to say he'd be at least about 12%, if not 10. Actually, let's round that out and say 10%. Now, Midoriya, he is pushing himself a bit further with the quirk, as he did rush Gran Torino at about 10%. Gran Torino, surprised as he did actually quickly have to move backwards. Using his quirk as Midoriya, he does rush upwards into the sky, and he does directly head for Gran Torino. Now, Midoriya and Torino are playing tag. If Gran Torino loses, then, well, the answer is quite simple, or the reward is quite easy. Midoriya will pass the test, and they will go pick a place to eat, where Midoriya wants to go this time. Instead of them just eating taiyaki, or I believe that's what it's called, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, this is the first time Midoriya is using One For All during one of their fights. And Gran Torino, he actually is struggling a lot. He's actually having to focus and concentrate very hard. Since Midoriya, he's trying to predict Torino's moves, as the two are flying throughout the air. As Midoriya, he actually is having fun. The two have already traveled 1 mile down the beach within the last 5 minutes than they were supposed to. And people are watching these two. This kid and his quote-unquote grandpa are flying through the air, and it does appear that they're having fun. A lot of people actually snapping pictures and even recording what's happening. As there is actually then whenever Midoriya, he does release his own quirk. And he does add on to the speed that Gran Torino wasn't expecting. As you do have the face-off, the two do have. Midoriya and Gran Torino are barely a few feet apart. And Midoriya tells Gran Torino that he's going to catch him today. You've come close a few times, kid, but you haven't gotten me once. That all changes. Now, Midoriya, he does take up a fighting stance, before he does go to rush towards Gran Torino, with his hands up. Now, Torino, he does get ready. Okay, so the kid's going to try and use Black Whip. Midoriya going to bring his hands back behind him. As Gran Torino, he does watch Midoriya, his wrist. It goes from a downwards fist to folding over and under as he opens his palm. Now, Gran Torino, he did pay attention to that, as Midoriya suddenly comes rushing forwards with a large burst of flames behind him, along with him being covered in electricity. Now, Gran Torino, he did go to dodge. As he did go to dodge, Midoriya, he does grab Gran Torino's arm as he does turn off One For All. As Midoriya and Gran Torino, they do float and spin, as Midoriya does tell him that he caught him today. Whoa, kid, it would appear so. So you finally win. I do. So, now what? That's a bit strange. You see, usually, this would be where I would tell you to, well, fight. Or, well, take out your opponent, since you grappled them. However, we were just playing tag. Yeah, anyways. But are you saying that they're going to this place today? Alright. Fine. Now, Midoriya and Gran Torino, they do head out for lunch. As Midoriya, he is thinking about everything. He's been training very intensely, and he really hasn't taken a proper day off. There are days where he halves his workouts and at least does do lighter training. However, it's still physical workouts and movement, so you really can't call it a day off. Now, Midoriya, he does look down at his bowl of ramen, as he does think about it all. It's strange. The users haven't pulled him back into that chair. Along with that, he's only ever really made contact with the smoke guy a few times, and Nana a few more than that. However, he does primarily focus on Yoichi Shigaraki and Seisho. Now, we do have for Midoriya, he does ask Gran Torino if he's ever heard the name Seisho Shigaraki. I have not. Well, exactly what is that? Who is that actually? Hmm. Well, I haven't really told you about this, but Midoriya is saying that that's All for One's true name. As Gran Torino, he does choke on his noodles, spit some of them back up into his bowl, swallow the ones he does have in his mouth or chewed, and take a deep breath of air. As he does start, Midoriya asking exactly how does he know this information to be true? Hmm. Well, you see, the thing about that is, there's a reason why All Might picked me specifically. Hmm. I see. And this reason would happen to be? Well, you know how I've told you not to worry about the information I know? Yes, I'm quite aware. It's creepy at times that you know so much. Yeah, I know. Anyways, in my first life, my name was Yoshi Shimura, or Shigaraki. Hmm? Yoshi Shigaraki. Your first life? Wait, that would mean you need to let me finish. In my first life, well, was forced a quirk upon me, and I discovered my own quirk, which happened to be useless by itself. However, there was something that happened. A power was born, and I passed it on. And here we are. About almost 3 centuries after I've died. The first time. Hmm? Wait, that's that can't be possible. It kind of is. You see, I don't know how, but I'm the first bearer of this power. I don't know why, but he and I are the same. In fact, one for all, it resonated with me. Hmm? Resonated? Yeah. I don't know if it's because of, well, the body I'm in or my soul, but one for all knew it was me. And it came to me. It had to find me. I see. Well, if what you're saying is true, then that opens the door for a lot of avenues. Hmm? Yes, I must give this information to Toshi at once. Now, but I would tell all for one, but I would tell Gran Torino to wait. Hmm? Listen, don't tell Toshinori. If you tell him, things are going to get a lot more complicated. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know that you have vital information like this? No, he doesn't. Listen, if you tell him he's gonna flip out. Flip out? Young man, you're telling an old man that there not only is a possible afterlife, but people come back from it. Do you know how crazy you sound? Very much crazy, yes. However, I don't know what to tell you. Hmm. Well, for starters, why you didn't reveal this to me sooner? Because you thought I would be crazy. I see. Well then, I can understand that. However, now you've given me some information I have to look into. Uh, sure. I need to go through public records and see if I can at least dig up something on him. Yeah, that might be good. Now, with that being said, we do have actually Yoshi, who he is sitting next to Grant right now, telling him that he knew this would be a bad idea, but he still did it anyways. Roye saying in his head, of course he did. Yeah, I don't doubt it. You know, I would have done the same thing. Exactly. Now you're starting to get it. Now you're starting to act like a Shigaraki. Please. I would rather act like an Izuku Midoriya. Fair enough. Then again, yeah, I think you're going to keep this guy up for a while. So, do you plan to apply for UA? You see, that's the contemplated part. Either I can apply for UA and dedicate my time to that hero school, or, well, I could not do that. Not do that? Do things a little old school. Oh, I think I know what you're saying. Before there were pros, there were vigilantes. Yeah, that's the idea. So, you think vigilantism is the best option for you? Yeah, I do. Gives me more time to train one for all. Along with that, there's the fact that Bakugo Katsuki, a friend of mine, knows about my quirk. So I can't really pass off all these random quirks as, oh, I've just woken up from a coma and they're there. If I try to, then there's going to be super suspicious. So tell him the truth. How? I've barely talked to the guy. Along with that, there's the fact that I can't really just tell him I'm some reincarnated dead guy. Fair point. Anyways, do you really think vigilantism is the best idea, though? What other options do I have? If I use the school option and become an official pro to take him down, do you know how much time is going to be wasted? Along with that, you're forgetting I don't have very much time left on my clock because of you. Touché. That's a valid point. Yeah, I know. I've kind of thought this through before. You're right about that. Yeah. Besides, I'm at least glad you guys don't wander through my memories. Yeah, we've wandered through your past enough to know you're me. Yeah, I give you permission for that. However, now, my memories are off, well, the books for you. Yeah. How about my memories, though? Our memories? Yeah. Maybe so you can look at those. However, now, we do have for Midoriya, he does zone out. As Shigaraki, he does disappear from Midoriya's view. Now, granted, right now he was trying to talk to Midoriya, but all of a sudden he just went silent and was at least looking like he was having a conversation with one of the users. And then Midoriya, he just does completely space out. Before he does get dragged into a former memory of Shigaraki. Now, we do have for Midoriya, he is sitting on a park bench. And he does look around. Maybe it's not such a bad idea. Maybe I could talk to him about it. He does need therapy. Along with that, after what happened to Mom and Dad, he's been through a lot. He's trying to be the big brother type. He's trying to put up a strong front and act like nothing's wrong. But deep down, he's hurting. He was so out of it. Along with that, there was the fact that I heard him crying. He's never cried like that before. Not even whenever we were at their funerals. Shit. Then again, it does make sense. He's doing this to try and, well, send a message to the world. Mom and Dad were killed because they had quirks. And people thought they were freaks for it. And us being quirkless, as he nicknamed it, yeah. Posing as that was easy when you don't have mutation abilities. Or those quote-unquote deformities. I try to understand him, but I can't. Wish I had a quirk sometimes. If people had heard me talk like this, though, they'd probably throw me in the streets. I'd lose my job, maybe. Okay. I should head back home. Talk with him and make sure he's okay. Maybe even get him sent for counseling if I can. Now, Shigaraki, he does stand up and go to walk away. As the memory, it does change as Midoriya, he does follow it. He walks through the area. The place he's at does look a little strange. However, it's because it's from over 300 years ago, almost, or at least close to it. Now, Midoriya, he would watch as he does look at a tower of smoke rising in the distance. As Shigaraki, he does say that that's coming from where home is. As he does run off. And the memory does end with Gran Torino, him smashing Midoriya's head into the table with a hard backhand to the, back of the neck. Now, Midoriya, he does finally zone back in as his face does smash on the table and he does come back up. Grabbing his nose, asking Gran Torino, what the hell was that for? Oh, you're finally back. Yeah, what? What was that? Lost in conversation? No. In fact, that was, kid, your nose. Now, Midoriya would just say that, yeah, he knows. Sorry, I didn't think I hit you that hard. Now, Midoriya, he would go to tell Gran Torino that this isn't because of that. It's the other thing. Ah. So that's what you mean. Yeah. I just saw something easily. It kind of explains him a bit better now. Explains who. Don't worry about it. Now, with that being said, I do believe that is a good point to leave this what if off of here. And I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing night. Catch you guys in the next part.